Hey, what's up everybody? My name's Adam with Antique Automotive Service. Today I am working on yet another GSX. This one is a 71 behind me, Arctic white with a black vinyl top, and it has a whole bunch of little gremlins on it, so that we're gonna have to kind of comb through everything and get it all fixed up for the customer. It's a really pretty car, so it deserves to be fixed right. Let's get started. Let's do a quick walkthrough on this thing. The paint is pretty stunning. It is just a beautiful car. Very straight, super solid. There's some junk in here, but that's all right. You get the idea. Black bench interior. Everything appears to be where it should be. Except the bird poop. Okay. Let's see what needs to happen. First order of business on this car was to fix the starter. It would, all it would do was grind when we activated it. So when I got it up in the air, I found a little problem. So it's cracked all the way through, and that's usually a sign of timing being too far advanced. So I swapped out the starter. Lo and behold, the car starts. And then timing was another story. Prior to starting this video, I'd already done some timing work on it and carb tune-up and whatnot. It really was pretty close, but initial timing without vacuum advance was set at 20 degrees. It was a little high. So we brought it back down to 10, and hopefully that takes care of it, but I haven't had a chance to drive it because it's raining cats and dogs outside. So to be continued on that. Another thing on the list was rocker molding stripes. These are all flaking off. The paint is not doing the job. This thing's pretty dirty right now, but my fix on these is to use a 1/4-inch pinstripe tape. On this side, I'd already installed the tape. Pretty slick. Any black 1/4-inch pinstripe tape will do the job. You can use red on the other GS cars, but I learned that from the V8 Buick gods on Buick.com. As I work on this thing, I keep finding more weirdness. I'm gonna put that on the list of things to fix. Also, if you can't see that, there is a kind of a gap. It's not a gap, but that molding is supposed to be tucked up in, and this sits on top. So this whole molding needs to move up and tuck into that. On the topic of engine issues, there's an exhaust leak somewhere in here. I think it's on the bottom side of this this port here, which means I've got to take the whole exhaust manifold off and resurface all that stuff. But it's a pretty significant tick, and I can't stand exhaust leaks. Also, when I was running the car, I noticed a pretty significant oil leak when it was running. That is from 5 minutes of idling. I found out that, so we've got the oil pump housing right there, and it's coming from the top half of it, and one of those bolts, at least one of them, is stripped. So it's just turning, and I'm gonna have to see if I can find maybe a longer bolt that will bite into some existing threads that we can tighten that thing up. Otherwise, we're in trouble. There's only one key with the car, which means I can't get in the trunk. This key fits in there. It's time to call a locksmith. I was mentioning before that this paint looks really good. It really does, but we are going to have a full paint correction and ceramic coating done on it. I did notice this as I was walking by. Just completely missed buffing. these scratches out right along the door and quarter panel. Cool. Let's take a look at the interior. This is new. This is a kind of a button for that spot right there, so I'll put that on. We got crappy reproduction door handles on all four corners. This one, I don't even know where the handle is for this one, but the handles literally just come off. Shouldn't do that. I think I've got four good used ones. Let's see what else is going on in here. It said something about a loose 8-track. Yep. I don't see anything in here. A little dusty. No big deal. Mirror needs to be tightened. A lot of little goofy stuff. So I don't know if you can see this, but there's a big bow right here in the dash. They missed. There's kind of a slide-in clip right here that needs to, if it doesn't go in to the metal part of the dash, then it's going to stick up like this. So I've got to pull the dash off and slide that back in. I might be able to get away with just pulling these couple of screws and sliding it in like that, but we'll see. Let's see what's on the back. Customer said there was an issue with the seat belts, that they need to be attached. Yeah. Okay. So back seat's got to come out for all those to be reattached. Other than that, everything else looks pretty good in the interior, besides all that garbage I just mentioned. Really a lot of just onesie-twosie stuff. Oh, missing parking brake handle. That should be attached to the steering column somehow. It's got a clip in there. Yeah, so okay. But wait, there's more. I've already done this, but this was completely detached on this side. I had to reattach it to the fender. It's like everything just kind of was halfway put together on this car, but it sure does look good. Wouldn't kick it out of my garage. All right, removing the back seat. This is likely going to be a struggle. Maybe not. Right. I sense there's going to be some time lapsage going on this one. That was easy. Good thing is everything looks nice and new in there. Got the wrong bolts holding that on. Washers are only about half the size as they need to be. Oh, if you want to know on how to get that back seat lower portion out, there's kind of a hook here that I'll use this as an example. There's a part of the seat frame that slides in and down and back so that it grabs it. So you have to push in and up to get that out. So what I did with that screwdriver is I just pushed that rail backwards as I pulled up on the seat frame, and it pulled right out. And then on the upper portion of this back seat, get this out. Two bolts, 7/16 heads that should have a washer on them, about that big on them, but I guess these do the job. So once those are out, the back seat will pull up and out. Sometimes you got to give it a little oomph. Actually, I think if you go, you got to push it back and up a little bit. It's got the same kind of hooks as on that bottom. Oh, the struggle is real. There we go. Whew. If you ever need to get to your trunk or lock your keys in your trunk, this is the way to get to it. Take your back seat out and go through this access. There's a board, and typically on a factory car, this is about 3 times the thickness, or maybe double. And that's all that there's no other jute or anything like that. It's just a piece of cardboard. But they've put a piece of cardboard and this jute stuff in. So, and that's the trunk right there. But today we're not focusing on that. We're going to put the seat belts in these 4 holes here. So I've got to find some seatbelt bolts. Oh, good. Guess I need to put that back too. Okay, let me get in here. This is always better to do when there's no front seat. All right, we've got 4 seatbelt bolts out of the stash. These do not have any shoulder on them, so there's threads all the way up to the head. There are some bolts, like on these center bolts, will have a shoulder on them about a 1/2 inch long that allows the belt to swivel. These do not have that though. They are tight to the floor. And I've got these laid out the way they need to be. And they lay down like this, not like that. You want to make sure the actual latch faces up like this when you install it. Same with the rest of them. Those are backwards. Do-do-do. I think I installed that first one upside down. Not sure that it matters too much, but somebody's going to gripe about it, I'm sure. All right, seatbelts are in, so I'll throw the back seat in the opposite direction that I went to take them out. And I'll fix the carpet. Okay. Next. Okay, new day, new shirt. I have some exciting news. Since we don't have a trunk key, I've got to take the back seat out again. Awesome. I'll spare you the watch. Okay, so here's the view from inside the car with the seat removed. If you ever lock your keys in your trunk, this is a fairly quick and easy way to get back in it. There is a, if I can get close enough there, where the latch is, there is a small vertical slot. You can take a screwdriver and turn it that way, or you can take the two bottom bolts off of that latch, 7/16 head, and the trunk will come open that way. So let me see if I can find a screwdriver big enough for this. I don't know. Good thing I have monkey arms. Try it this way. Come on. Oh. So I've got a couple options now on this trunk lock. I either just need to remove this trunk lock and replace it with one that I know has a key, or find a locksmith that can key one for me, and which is going to cost me probably at least double of what it's going to take to replace this. So I think I'm just going to replace it with one that has a key. There we go. All right, so it's not going to come all the way out. You basically have to kind of push it out from behind a little bit. Okay. Golly. All right, back on the oil pump. I've got to remove this housing and reseal it. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bolts, 3/8" head. Should come right off. Don't forget the one that is behind the oil filter. So 6 bolts. Don't try to force it off, you'll break the timing cover. Or the oil pump housing, one of the two. Little oil on the phone never hurt. Idiot. Be careful when you're pulling this thing out. There are gears in here that are going to want to fall out. Well, come on, bolt. I know you want to come out. This is the one that was stripped. So I'm sure the end threads are all buggered up. Yep. Here is the oil pump housing. Here's the face of it. It looks to me like somebody took a wire wheel to this thing to clean it up, and that is no good. That's why we're getting a leak, because it's not a true face. So what I'm going to have to do is just put this on a hard surface and sand it down with like 220. Just get it nice and straight. Okay, I've got a piece of 220 just taped down to the table here. This is a granite piece of table, so what we're going to do is just flatten this out. This is going to take a while, so hang tight. All right, this is about 2 minutes of sanding. I'm going to leave it at that. I don't want to go any further, but I see everything that I need to know as far as how flat we are. There's just a couple little low spots here. So we should be in pretty good shape. I've got to clean this thing up. Probably if you've got a parts washer, clean it up in there, or hose the hell out of it with brake clean and get all these aluminum shavings out of it. And then put your pressure relief back in. Okay, this surface is all cleaned up. Kind of the rule of thumb is you have to reprime this pump after you take it apart. So since I'm not going to have the distributor out, I'm going to pack this thing with Vaseline. I really hate doing that because it's generally not necessary, but since I'm not priming it with the distributor gear, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Well, you don't need a whole ton, just enough to fill in the gaps. And else, this stuff actually helps hold these gears in as well, so you don't have to juggle a bunch of stuff under the car while you're starting screws. One item of note, when you're doing these oil pumps, you're supposed to measure end clearance between the gear and this face. When I took it apart, it only had the one regular paper gasket on it, and that's what I'm going to put it back with. Generally, if you're starting from scratch or just completely rebuilding these things, you're going to need to measure end clearance with a feeler gauge or use shims accordingly with a TA kit. There are different length bolts for different length holes, so make sure you install accordingly. I've got my extra long bolt for the crappy hole. I'll barely start. I also made sure my gasket surface is very clean on both ends, or both sides of the timing cover and the oil pump housing. Get all that Vaseline off of there. Make sure it's clean of dust and debris, etc., etc. So you get a nice seal. One thing I could not check was the surface of the timing cover. So that's a little bit of a Hail Mary. Hopefully we don't have any problems with that. That's the extra long bolt. I'm just snugging these all up. All right. Get the oil filter back on and get this thing going.